My name is Ethan Moore, and by the time my wife handed me her laptop, our marriage was already standing on fragile ground. Laura Moore and I had been together for 9 years, married for 5. We weren't fighting constantly, but the silence between us had grown heavier than arguments ever were. When she mentioned divorce, it didn't shock me, it quietly confirmed what we had both been avoiding. The day she gave me her laptop was strangely calm. Laura Moore placed it on the kitchen table and told me she needed help organizing things before we made everything official. She said there were files she no longer needed and asked me to erase them. Her voice was steady, almost relieved. She trusted me with that device, or at least I thought she did. I asked her why she didn't do it herself. Laura Moore said she didn't have the energy anymore. She told me she wanted a clean break, no loose ends, no reminders. I nodded and agreed. At that moment, I still believed we were trying to separate respectfully. That evening, after Laura Moore went to stay with her sister, I opened the laptop. The desktop was neatly arranged, folders labeled by year, projects, and personal notes. Laura Moore had always been organized. I clicked through what she had asked me to delete: old drafts, unfinished plans, archived emails. Nothing seemed unusual at first. Then I noticed a folder that didn't match the rest. It wasn't hidden, but it was vague, labeled simply Archive. I hesitated. She hadn't mentioned it, but she also hadn't said not to open anything else. I told myself I was just being thorough. Inside were documents that stopped me cold. Detailed notes, timelines, and saved correspondence. Not about another relationship, not about anything dramatic, but about decisions that affected both of us. Financial choices. Legal consultations. Plans made months before she ever mentioned divorce to me. I sat there for a long time, staring at the screen. Laura Moore hadn't just prepared for the end of our marriage. She had planned it carefully while assuring me everything was fine. I replayed conversations in my head, moments where she smiled and told me we'd figure things out together. The contrast was painful. What hurt most wasn't the planning itself. People prepare for change. What hurt was realizing I had been excluded from decisions that reshaped my life. The trust one thought still existed had already been replaced with strategy. I didn't delete anything right away. Instead, I closed the laptop and went for a walk. I needed space to think. I reminded myself that anger wouldn't help. Assumptions wouldn't either. When I returned home, I reopened the laptop and finished deleting only what she had specifically asked me to erase. I left the rest untouched. The next day, Laura Moore came by to pick it up. She thanked me and asked casually if everything was taken care of. I looked at her and said yes, but I also told her I had seen the other files. Her expression changed, not fear, not guilt, but exhaustion. Like someone who knew this moment would come eventually. Laura Moore admitted she started preparing months earlier. She said she didn't want conflict and believed planning quietly was the responsible thing to do. I told her that responsibility without honesty feels like betrayal. I explained that being left out of decisions made me feel less like a partner and more like a problem to be managed. She listened without interrupting. For the first time in a long while, we spoke honestly. Laura Moore said she was afraid that if she told me sooner, I would try to fix things she no longer believed could be repaired. I told her that choice should have been ours, not hers alone. In the weeks that followed, we moved forward with the divorce more transparently. The tension didn't disappear, but the confusion did. Knowing the truth, even late, allowed me to process the end with clarity instead of doubt. That laptop changed how I understand trust. It taught me that silence can be more damaging than disagreement. Laura Moore didn't intend to hurt me, but intention doesn't erase impact. By asking me to erase files, she unknowingly handed me the truth she never said out loud. I didn't hold on to anger. I chose understanding over resentment. Endings don't always come with explosions. Sometimes they arrive quietly, through a device on a kitchen table and a request that reveals more than it hides. Letting go of the marriage was painful, but reclaiming my awareness was necessary. I learned that closure isn't about deleting the past, it's about finally seeing it clearly.